Thank you very much, Ms. Jo, for that very generous introduction. Could have been outlined in two statements: Managing Coach of Drucker Learning Solutions and Adjunct Professor of St. Paul University, Manila. I am here with you today to deliver a conversation not about how to survive, but how to renew our faith. And with this, we will be expecting something better that goes beyond the impact of the pandemic. And this conversation will help us lead on how you MAPSA schools can move forward creatively. I draw my presentation from this inspiration coming from Proverbs 16 verse 3. It says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do and your plans will succeed." There is a ray of hope, and that's the reason why we are here. As I said earlier, this is a renewal of faith. This is not about survival. Let me ask you first these questions. How are you as MAPSA schools doing so far? Are you enjoying the journey? Are there realizations? Are there productive changes? Second question is, did this pandemic change your mission, vision, and goals? Did it give you a new lens, looking at things in a better and different way? Third and the last question, are you ready? Are you ready to face the post-COVID era? Looks like we are prepared to navigate the new normal. How about another new normal after the new normal, which is a post-COVID time? Let's understand what we expect from this school year and hereafter. First, of course, work from anywhere will be the rule rather than the exception. This emanated from the practice of schools and companies allowing their employees to work from home. And because of the opening of uh, other industries and other business establishments, this also opens opportunities for gainfully employed individuals to work wherever they can. Second, we are expecting that there will be delivery systems that can withstand various crisis situations, meaning those institutions who learn can better come up with a new delivery systems, regardless if there's pandemic or any mode of destruction resulting from the effect of the VUCA environment. Thirdly, more companies will train and employ senior high school graduates. I don't know if you're familiar with JAL STEAM School in Japan, all right? Their programs are cut for employment even during their basic education. Some companies are finding it a hard time, and it's a waste of time to wait for college graduates before they can get the talents that they need. So some companies have decided to forego with the college credentials. Instead, they're looking for senior high school graduates who can be immediately employed during this time of pandemic. Some tertiary courses will be irrelevant, and in fact, college education will become obsolete. I'll explain later, and probably in one of our Q&A, someone will ask why. Here's another thing. The massive layoff is starting to force workers to go back to school. Why? Because some of their skills are already irrelevant. Some of them are studying online, programming, acquisition of new skill set required by these companies. Take note that during the height of pandemic, the emergence of new jobs we did not imagine coming and not offered or supported by schools, such as contract tracing jobs, are already mainstream. And therefore, there will be more individuals who will seek for support and training from either school or other alternative providers of learning services. The demand for Catholic homeschooling will persist. The first time I talked about it regarding the exponential increase in the demand of Catholic homeschooling was last year in Malolos. Too bad I wasn't able to present my slides because I didn't have the right connector. But anyway, when I talked to Doc Judith over during the break, she asked me about the emergence of Catholic homeschooling, which I told them also in some of our talks that maybe RCBNES can lead, or all of your members in the MAPSA group can lead to offer and deliver Catholic homeschooling. Several overseas Filipino learners will go back. Yes, particularly those who are staying in Saudi Arabia and Dubai, especially Saudi Arabia because of the imposition of 15% value-added tax on top of the existing 5% and on top of the levy, okay? Because it will be very expensive for parents to keep their children with them abroad. So starting last March, some of people I know asked me to look for schools where they can enroll their children. There are hundreds of thousands of overseas Filipino workers, overseas Filipino learners. Okay. Then arts and design students will have more income opportunities because of the commissions required by creative industries. Those that are selling digital arts, they are commissioning senior high school because for them it's cheaper rather than employing staff who will demand for higher labor, higher pay, more benefits. There will be a major shift from teaching culture to learning culture. And some teachers will migrate to other professions, not only among the private school teachers, but even from the public school sector. It has been noted that some of the teachers, because some cannot cope with the demands of this online delivery of instruction, rather found an opportunity for them to earn more outside of the teaching profession. I know someone who is into selling of plants. She told me, sir, when I sold this plant, I earned 10,000. If you know what is bajang, the gabi-like plant that is very expensive, sold online. Yeah, she sold, I think, more than 3 of that, and she sold it like 7 to 8,000, depending on the size. What are the factors influencing the sustainability of MAPSA schools? First is the trajectory of Catholic education ministry. Of course, Catholic schools will continue operating regardless of the challenges and hardship of sustaining operations because we have one mission to fulfill, which is evangelization, the new evangelization. That's our primary goal. We are just using education as a platform. Second is a cluster of factors which is emanating from a highly volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. These disruptions are greatly influenced by trends in the economy, geopolitics, political and legal and regulatory factors, the change in demographics, sociocultural practices, and lifestyle. And of course, the Internet of Things that is also shaping the kind of behavior of learners and employees that we have now. Third set of factors are competitive forces. We are not just competing among ourselves as schools. We are actually being challenged by the service providers who are not operating as schools. In fact, there are some homeschooling providers that emerged during the height of pandemic who easily registered and now offering homeschooling services. What else? Companies, of course, are also competing with us in terms of keeping our students because they're offering jobs now. I know some MAPSA schools have tertiary courses. So instead of enrolling in the college level, some companies are recruiting senior high school or senior high school students or graduates to work. Then, number 4 is the institutional character of MAPSA schools. What are you as institutions? Your heritage, your vision, your mission, vision, and your goals, your resources, okay? Your brand as an institution. This will greatly affect the sustainability of your operation. And of course, culture, tradition, and practices. Have we changed yet? I noticed that uh, most of the schools are still following the old pedagogy, okay? The old mindset. What they have, something new, is the template. But of course, the mindset is still old. So it's about time that we also revisit our culture, tradition, and practices if they are still fit in these challenging times. What are the competitive forces affecting the resilience of your schools? First, there is an infiltration of private firms into education system. It used to be the turf of Catholic schools. Private education used to be the turf of Catholic schools. But now some companies are acquiring schools for whatever purpose they have in mind. But definitely, this acquisition is also serving their business interest. You can see certain schools flourishing in Metro Manila, and I think it created a dent on the delivery of instruction and sustainability of MAPSA schools because these schools are uh, already mushrooming in different strategic places of Metro Manila and nearby cities and provinces. The threat of new entrants, as I said earlier, there are some alternative service providers who capitalized on the situation, demand for home education, that they were able to apply for license or offer services related to or similar or in line with what we offer. There's a group of friends who organized a business, tutorial. It's a tutorial business. They will be helping learners who are struggling in math, reading, and science. So they will take the role of parents who are active, who are busy, because these parents cannot stay with their children with them while they're learning. So this group of friends organized a business to provide home learning services. Yeah, this partners will help learners comply with the requirements of schools, homeworks, projects, and so on. This is something that we need to guard also because we don't want the learning experience of our students to be inauthentic or to be cheat driven. Number 3, the bargaining power of students and parents. Before, it used to be the role of DepEd to scrutinize our submissions, our papers, our modules. But look at this, students and parents. Even before we realize there's something wrong with our modules, they already started posting it online. Okay? And they can easily shift from one school to the other now. Before, the loyalty of parents and students was very strong in terms of their staying power in institutions. I've been talking to different registrars of Catholic schools. They told me the rate of transfer in and transfer out is uh, more immense now this year than in the past. Unlike before, if you study in grade 1 in the same school, you are expected to finish up to high school. But the rate of completion among students who enroll in grade 1 who will finish grade 6 is lower now. Those who enroll in grade 7 in the same school, they are not likely to enroll in their senior high school, in the same school. Okay? Because of the fluid exchange and availability of information, even the tuition fees, matriculation, parents are like shopping online. They can get all the details from friends, from school employees. They will know exactly how much every school will charge for the entire school year. So they compare prices. Number 4, bargaining power of publishing companies and other suppliers. Is it us, the schools, who influence the publishing companies, or the publishing companies who influence us? Whose bargaining power is stronger? Is it theirs or ours? Is it the supplier dictating what will be the form and substance of our instructional materials? That's a question. Number 5, of course, we cannot deny the fact that there is so-called competition between public and private schools. What is that kind of competition? Resource-based competition. Because in the public sector, their budget depends on the population. Okay? Wherein private schools are having hard time accessing those resources. Number 6, the threat of substitute learning and education services. We're supposed to provide review sessions, not the review centers. The more I see review centers, the more I worry about our education system. I tell myself, oh no, that means we are not doing our job. The more review centers providing reading, science, and math tutorials, the more I feel that we are not doing our job. Is the threat of substitute learning and education services very strong? Yes. What will be the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on Catholic schools? Of course, it's in the news. Some of the schools already closed, especially the family-owned schools. And there will be more closure if Catholic schools will not be able to tighten their belts and generate resources apart from what is taken or generated from the tuition and other school fees. Sabi ko nga, nag-enroll ang bata, but will they pay the tuition? I know some schools who already administered their first quarterly examination. The head of the finance office told me, sir, we are happy because we reached 100% enrollment. Okay? But in terms of collection, sir, we're having a hard time collecting tuition from the parents and the students. The shift from mobile legends to module legends. Okay? You know what's keeping these kids busy now? They're looking into the modules if there are something that they can post about. I don't know if you have you came across a very recent post regarding what is the sound of, how does the airplane sound like? Diba mayroong eng eng eng, weng weng weng, and so on and so forth. Yeah. They are busy looking into our materials. Even the parents, they're scrutinizing our modules. This is what I call a shift from mobile legends to module legends. Another impact of COVID-19 pandemic on Catholic schools is, of course, it provides us an opportunity for new evangelization platforms. The use of multimedia, multiple media will be maximized in reaching out to various learners and sectors and stakeholders. So so the schools can continue their evangelization and Christian formation activities. There are more critical and highly engaged parents now than before. Okay? I was talking to a friend the other night. Sabi namin dati, sinusugod ni parents si teachers. Ngayon, si teachers naman ang susugod kay parents. because the parents now are the teachers at home, right? So we were joking about it. And of course, these critical and highly engaged parents are very, very active. Yeah, they're exchanging notes with their kumares, with their compares. Yes, I came across an online conversation regarding comparing notes. Sabi ko, why don't we organize a quiz before parents? Yeah, they're highly engaged. They're looking into the different pages and all the entries in the modules. They're very critical. They're learning. They're learning at the same time while they're teaching their children. This pandemic will also help us develop new academic and non-academic products and services. You only need to be creative in looking at how you can supplement the various needs of these learners. You know what? Some parents were complaining about the high cost of Catholic education. And yet, if you notice, these are the same parents who are always buying food, who are always buying unnecessary plants. A parent was lamenting, saying, I cannot afford 35,000 pesos tuition for my daughter. That's very expensive. And yet, they're buying ready to cook 𝘎𝘼𝙑𝙀𝙀𝙀 and then posting about expensive plants and then posting about food, among others. So it's about time. It's high time for us also to develop new academic and non-academic products and services that will ease the boredom, the stress, anxiety of parents and students. I already mentioned earlier the growing irrelevance of some college courses. The long-term impact of this pandemic, you know what? It will make tertiary education obsolete because more and more companies are hiring senior high school graduates or non-diploma holders. When I check a certain MOOC, they have millions of enrollees in a particular program. It's Python programming, the basic one. And they're only charging 12.99 US dollars for the entire program. Okay? So some of these learners would rather train themselves online, okay, attend online classes that are not offered by mainstream schools. When I check the tertiary schools of MAPSA group, the course offerings are still the old courses. There's nothing new. There's no game development. Yeah, there's the usual courses, the usual BS courses and BA courses. Yeah. So it's high time that because of this impact, let's innovate the way how we deliver our educational services, and let's innovate our existing products and services. This situation will also bring out new leadership and management skills. Before we were talking about problem-solving skills, but now the new skill that will help you navigate in this situation is a problem prevention skill. No longer problem-solving skill, problem prevention skill. How about skills coming from our lessons, our activities? We're expected to develop our learners to acquire and demonstrate socio-professional skills. Socio-professional skills. Another impact of this pandemic is, of course, I already mentioned this one, is the increasing demand for Catholic homeschooling services. Students will be desensitized and accustomed to attending this kind of learning platform. So when everything will return back to quote-unquote normal, they will look for schools that will offer a blended modality or a distance and flexible type of learning, delivery of learning services. How can MAPSA schools move forward creatively? It's not just simple moving forward. It's moving forward more creatively. You're familiar with VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and agility. For you to move forward creatively is to change your vocabulary. What do I mean by this? By changing VOCA into another VOCA. Vision. You need to revisit your vision. Your vision should be in line with the kind of work and learning environment that we have right now and we will have in the future. Because of the trends in the external environment and the rate of change that's happening, we need to redirect our vision. Second, we need to understand the external environment. How can schools thrive in such a world that is rapidly changing day by day, wherein the definition of future is the present? Understanding also the character, the profile of the learners, their parents, their home environment, our changing identity, understanding what is education 4.0, understanding what is Catholic education 4.0. Clarity. Some goals are stated like Miss Universe statements. Whenever I ask, what is your goal this year? Ang sagot, to be able to provide quality education. Come on, what is quality for you may not be quality for me. Let's clarify. Let's clarify our targets. If you say academic excellence, maybe you mean a composite grade of not lower than 85 in languages, in sciences, in mathematics, and so on and so forth. Let's clarify also our targets in our strategic plans. In fact, you were supposed to change your plans. Some schools are still implementing their strategic plan that will expire 2023. Okay? The situation is different, and it should be very clear that you should execute different activities and you should hit different set of targets. Number 4, what is our rate of change, our response to the external environment? Icebergs are melting very quickly outside. How are we moving? Are we highly adaptable to every situation? Do we have that agility? How quickly we can respond to a situation that is not even available at present? How quickly can we shift again when everything else will go quote-unquote normal? So let's redirect our vision. Let's understand our external and our internal environment, our stakeholders. Let's clarify our goals and targets. Let's be highly adaptive. Let's be agile, okay? If we want to move forward creatively. In details, please broaden your reach. One avenue is you can collaborate with Radyo Veritas and couple it with the different social media platforms. What I have in mind right now is if there's a segment in that radio station that is exclusively for parents, students, and teachers. Parang yung host, tatlo. Okay? Parang ang moderator, ang anchor person, for example, si Father Nolan. And then, every week, there will be a teacher, a mother or father, and then one student who will discuss, okay, about several things, best practices, okay, activities that will promote the value of MAPSA education. I hope you can maximize Radio Veritas as your platform. It will not only help you broaden your reach, it will also help, okay, the rating of Radio Veritas. So it's a mutual benefit if you can co-brand and collaborate with Radio Veritas. I understand there are schools in the MAPSA group whose students have unstable access to internet, but whose parents can access radio broadcast. Okay? It can be a combination of a radio broadcast plus offered or delivered in any of the available social media platforms. You can supplement lessons, yeah, discussions, okay, and other activities that will help your schools broaden your reach and communicate the value of a MAPSA education. And if you can build a solid brand as a group, because as far as I know, MAPSA schools as a group is a force to reckon with. You have a very good profile of teachers and administrators. If you look into your HR papers, naandyan yung mga well-trained and well-credentialed and highly competent teachers, non-teaching personnel, leaders, and decision makers. I'd like to share with you the framework I made in one of my classes in the graduate school. This is a 6R framework, shifting from the usual strat planning into a mission-driven planning and strategic execution. To move forward, you need to review your past performance using your mission, vision, and goal statements as benchmark. Okay? Are the results aligned with what you intended to achieve? Then you re-examine the external environment. From time to time, the external environment of MAPSA is changing. Lately, diba, there are 2 LGUs that are highly supportive of private Catholic education. I am so proud to share that I'm from Pasig. The pronouncement of the mayor when he said he is willing to support, in fact, he is extending support to certain Catholic schools in our city. Another LGU that is promising is also the city of Manila. Have we tried re-examining that external environment insofar as the local government is concerned? Have we yet seized certain opportunities, or is there an existing collaboration between our leaders in MAPSA and the LGUs? These LGUs are blessed with resources, and some of them have this young mindset. They are visionary. Okay, another LGU that is promising also is Valenzuela. They also have a very young leader who we can also collaborate with in our activities and projects. Okay? Reflect on internal conditions. What worked before definitely will not work again. A new normal requires a new mindset, and to achieve that is to change our mind first. Your internal conditions have changed, and therefore, you also need to change certain activities like performance management. I delivered an online training I think 3 days ago for senior managers of a certain company on strategic performance management for work from home employees. Because I understand at present your SPMS or your performance management tools, techniques, and the templates are still designed during the pre-COVID era. So you have to reflect what needs to be changed. What are the areas you are strong in? What areas need to be strengthened or improved? And that's the time that you need to reformulate strategies. Take note, if your strategy does not work, it means it's not a strategy. No more school to school campaign because it will not work anymore. Okay? Market intelligence works better than the tarpaulinized and the school to school visit old way of uh, attracting enrollees and attracting parents. When you reformulate strategies, you need to rally courses of action. What will facilitate the execution of those strategies so that your schools will be able to achieve the targets? That's why I call it strategic execution. What should be the strategic is the execution part. The planning should be mission driven. Your mission will drive you to plan, but your strategy will help you execute. And your way of executing your plan should be strategic enough so you will realize your goals and targets. Okay? How do you rally courses of action? Keep in mind that planning is 10%, but execution is 90%. If you check your strat plans, some of your targets are not achieved because of certain things that you cannot control. And therefore, in reformulating strategies and rallying courses of action, you should anticipate that there are things that you cannot control. Retool culture, recharge team, rectify errors, and reward performance. Okay? Retooling culture, it's a culture that is a resilient. Okay? What is a resilient culture? Meaning, yung hindi ngarag, yung you can rest and you can sleep and yet you are able to achieve so many things. A productive culture is not a ngarag culture. Hindi yung feeling na bibisitahin tayo ng PEAC, ng pakokoa, ng paasko, ng accreditors, di ba? Na bigla na lang namumunga, namumulaklak ang mga tanim, di ba? Let's be natural. Let's make it part of our daily life. Hindi ngarag, chillax, highly productive culture. Recharge your team. Let's change our scripts. Instead of saying the deadline of submission of your syllabus will be next week, what is the new script? You tell your teachers, dear teachers, your syllabi will be appreciated starting tomorrow. Okay? Instead of calling it deadline. Rectify errors. Don't be in denial. Of course, everyone commits mistakes. Let's identify those areas wherein we need to change, improve, or abandon. If an error or a mistake is committed twice, it's you who is the problem. Okay? If you cannot change or if you cannot address a problem for several times, it's not a problem anymore. It becomes a standard. Okay? Because problem is supposed to occur only once, and then leaders and decision makers need to address it at once. If it's repeated, you are part of the problem. If it's repeated 3 times, it becomes a standard. Okay? And then don't hesitate to reward performance. Ang tanong, sir, bakit magre-reward ng performance? We're even hard up. We're having hard time sustaining our schools. Of course, there are different ways of rewarding performance. Okay? It's not always material. Yesterday, I visited a school that's managed by DSSJ sisters in Valenzuela. I was happy to see teachers treated to a post-Teachers Day celebration. They had a mass. Of course, they had a party, a very simple party, observing the protocol. And then Sister Susana gave her teachers simple gifts and token. And then she expressed her appreciation. Yun, mga simpleng bagay lang, it really counts because our gesture as leaders and administrators are really appreciated, most especially in these trying times. And then the cycle goes back, okay? Review again, re-examine, reflect, reformulate, rally courses of action, retool as an institution. It's a never-ending process. Of course, if you want to move forward creatively, you also need to change job titles and structures, because people, as highly valuable assets of an institution, need to upgrade. By upgrading, one way is enhancing their job titles and enhancing the structure. Okay. We need to have a board of trustees. I call this BOT 2.0. Board of trustees who are highly engaging, who are highly supportive. Yung board na hindi lang pumipirma sa papel. Yung board that can also help us generate resources. Our board of trustees are underutilized. Ang dami nilang connection, ang dami nilang company kakilala, ang dami nilang philanthropist na kakilala, ang daming alumni na mga kakilala, but we are underutilizing our board of trustees. We will call them board of expert advisors. By being advisors, they are not just simple advisors, but they bring in expertise. They bring in expertise to our schools. The school director or president, we can call them chief performance managers. Okay? Di ba, pag tinawag kang chief performance manager, you are bound by your title. You are inspired to execute as a manager of performance to ensure that your targets and goals are achieved. The three main clusters of outcomes of an institution are as follows, headed by the heads. Financial, material, and human resources, they can be grouped as one. And the head will be called Chief Steward of Financial, Material, and Human Resources. Ang investments na andyan na rin, okay? Na andyan na rin syempre ang HR na andyan, and then management of your facilities, your equipment, because my worry is some of your assets will be non-performing assets. Kaya yung chief steward officer, ang chief steward, will be looking for ways on how to optimize your laboratories. Kunyari, may mga schools na mayroong bake shop, may mga oven, okay? Managing the material resources such as laboratory, oven, classroom, and so on will be the job of the chief steward. Pwedeng mag-organize sila ng mga training for corporate, yeah, and held it in the classrooms that will ensure that the safety and health protocols are observed, kasi our classrooms are big, di ba? A group of trainees can be contained in one classroom. Okay? So paano maging ang return on assets will be higher? Yeah, because some companies are looking for warehouses, okay? They're looking for venues where they can train their employees. Another area or outcome department is that of the academics. Nakakatuwa because one university, they appointed VP ACAD, okay, who is a graduate of computer science in the baccalaureate with masters in computer science, but with PhD in education. Of course, that person has a long experience become as a dean of that institution, who is well versed with the course offerings, the curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Ang galing because his expertise in IT is integrated into delivery of instruction. That's why I'm proposing if you can enhance the skills of your principals, especially the IT side, okay? Uh, and then improve your academics department into an information and education office. Because at this time, it's not only our content, but also our delivery that is very critical, especially the interface of online and offline platforms. Director for Continuing Formation and Student Engagement. Ito yung religious education, evangelization, Christian formation, student activities, student affairs. Yeah. So these are the critical departments that will help you move forward. And of course, changing job titles and structures will help a lot. I am also proposing a learning mix strategy. Yeah, I discussed this one during my talk with superintendents in their CSA last month. Schools need to check which of these quadrants are already filled. Because at present, most of the schools are in the old quadrant, the old product, old market, offering the same educational services from kinder to grade 12, and then revenue from textbooks, then school uniform, okay? But what we need to maximize really if we want to move forward is the second quadrant, which is new product, new market, okay? I already mentioned about the skills training for laid off workers. You know why they wanted to attend trainings is because they want to upgrade their skills so they will be employable again. Some companies are already changing their terms of reference and the duties and responsibilities and the scope of work because of the situation. Okay? So aside from VOCA-proof skills training for laid-off workers, we can also offer values education training for DepEd schools because it's something that we are more qualified. Yeah. We can ink a memorandum of agreement with a certain district or with a superintendent regarding training their teachers on values education. Diyan tayo magagaling eh. Okay. Online counseling, yes, there's a demand for online counseling. In fact, the increase of cases, okay, even undocumented cases of depression, harassment, okay, academic coaching, yes. Some families are constrained with the by the activities of their parents because some of their parents are busy, they're employed, some of them are even working very far. The parents are not confident leaving behind their children with some household help because uh, they're saying we need someone who can really coach our children, especially those parents who are uh, grade conscious, yeah, parents who really wanted their children to excel in academics. There's a high demand for academic coaching. Merch, yes, merch, shirts, events, you can organize events, advocacy projects, yeah. So I will also mention about the return of overseas Filipino learners. Uh, where are the overseas Filipino learners? High concentration of students in Saudi Arabia, Uh, in United Arab Emirates, yes, there's a big number of overseas Filipino learners. Where else? Qatar, yes. Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, um, Greece. There are also Filipino students in Greece, in Italy, and other countries. Family retreat, food delivery, after school life skills training, life coaching, learning materials and supplies, especially for arts and design students. They're buying so many learning materials. Some of these materials are not even available in National Bookstore. Baka naman pwede ang MAPSA mag-operate ng isang a centralized online store for learning materials. Yeah, wherein it's cheaper for you to access those materials from other countries or wherever you can source those materials. Yeah, we need to upgrade also our market intelligence by deeply learning the behavior or by understanding and knowing the learning behavior and the needs and plans of the students. When the learning continuity plans were made, there were no consultations done with students and their parents because we were in a hurry to submit those papers to DepEd. So we will be granted a go signal to operate this school year. But how I wish, even in the middle of the school year, if we can gather data, both quantitative and qualitative, that will help us uh, understand and know the learning behavior, the needs and the plans of the students. Because some parents and students are complaining it's expensive to study now, and yet they are spending so much on food, okay, so much on toys and gadgets. I was waiting in line when I asked one father who bought a gaming laptop, and I asked how much the tuition of his son. Sabi niya, sir, 45,000. Ang mahal nga eh. I asked the father, so magkano po yung laptop na binili niyo? The father told me 65,000. Which is more expensive, 65,000 or the tuition? Of course, what we need to improve in ourselves is our way of communicating the value of a Catholic education. The reason why they find it expensive is because they don't or they can't appreciate the value. Maybe it's about time that we communicate the value of MAPSA education. Sinabi ko na kanina, through platforms like a radio program that is also broadcast simultaneously in different social media platforms. You have a valuable talent such as Father Nolan who can anchor a program and other decision makers in the MAPSA group. Yeah. Profile and decision-making patterns of parents. Yes. We need to understand what tick or what ticks the decisions of these parents. Why are they transferring their children from one school to another? Why are they demanding so much? Are they willing to pay for an extra value-added service? Okay? How can we handle their rants? How can we manage online exchange of communication among parents, between parents? Okay? And then let's anticipate future trends. What will we become? And what will other schools become? Manage your portfolio better. Okay? When you can see an opportunity or if you encounter certain opportunities that promise so much return, don't be excited. Okay, briefly, I'll discuss this with you. Okay. Uh, the higher the return, of course, it's expected that the risk is also high. Let's be realistic with our portfolio, with our investments. Don't be too excited in jumping into offers, because the people who are offering you investments are really nice in convincing. Okay, so they are trained to convince people. Guard yourselves. Uh, Look into the trends. Examine data. Okay, but of course you cannot just simply put your extra cash in savings, because that's low return and low risk. Okay, so your choices will be to keep it low risk and low return, or high risk and low return, or in the middle. Yeah, medium risk, medium return. You also need to change some templates from the old action plan into institutional success blueprint. Yeah, everything should be measurable. Your success metrics will be uh, culled from your mission, vision, and your goals for the entire school year. Such example here is composite final grade per learning area of greater than 83. At least that's clearer instead of saying academic excellence. Okay? Retention rate of 95% of students, meaning 95, only 5% is expected to drop from the roll. Or accounts receivable of less than 80,000. Yeah. Faculty performance rating of greater than 88%. Management performance rating of greater than 99. Major online bullying cases, 0, none. Scholarship funds raised greater than 300,000. And then stipulate strategies that are doable. Assign people who will help you achieve these realistic targets, and then set a realistic time frame. Few slides left. Some reminders. The new normal requires a new and better ways of doing things. Okay? So let's abandon our old ways. Let's apply new and better ways that will help us achieve our goals. The new normal also requires a new pedagogy. Hindi lang template ang bago dapat. If you say most essential competencies, it should be 1 or 2. Okay? Because some teachers are having hard time now checking papers. They're complaining, "Sir, paano ba yan? Hirap na kami mag-check. Hirap kaming ganito. Ang daming ginagawa." Of course, it's you who designed it in the first place. So definitely, we need to apply and enforce a new pedagogy. It requires new skill set for school leaders and managers to successfully navigate the new normal. Our skills and the things that we know before March 16 were already irrelevant or obsolete at present, okay? And therefore, we need to acquire new skill set. Here's a good news, an opportunity that I like to share. There's a new upskilling and retooling opportunities for MAPSA leaders and teachers from St. Paul University, Manila. Of course, this is supported by Rex Publishing Corporation. We are offering exclusive rate and flexible payment only for you. This is something that we have not been doing in the past how many months. So we realized that it's about time also to give back to our partner institutions like MAPSA, because you have been sending your teachers and your leaders to us in the last 2 or 3 years. So we are offering an exclusive rate and flexible payment for you. What programs to upskill and retool your leaders and teachers do we have? So we have a new program. It's called PhD in Education, Major in School Transformation. This is the first and only graduate degree program in the PhD level offered in Southeast Asia. And then we also have MA in Education, Major in Learning Management, where teachers will be taught how to develop, integrate learning management systems. Postgraduate certificate in Managing Sustainability of Schools. Yeah, this is for you, which gives you 18 18 credit units that will lead to PhD. Kung wala pa kayong PhD, we will credit 18 units and then you can proceed to PhD. The old TCP, we call it now Post-Baccalaureate Certificate in 21st Century Teaching. This is for non-education degree holders. Thank you. Caritas Christi Orgetnos.